Today we're going to try to learn everything about the Woodpeckers Quicklift, and there's a lot of good general information in this topic as well for just router tables and what fits, what's compatible. There's so many things to know on this particular topic. What size is your plate? What diameter is your router motor? And so at least for this specific lift, the Quicklift and the Quicklift HDS, we'll try to answer all the questions I'm coming across as I try to install it in my little test sled, which is actually a portable router table, but it's not going to live in here permanently. But I think we'll be able to identify any problems as far as installation and setup that you may encounter on your own. So let's get into it. So there it is, the Quicklift, and they have this in two different versions currently. One with an aluminum top and this one with a steel top. It's called the HDS. I'm guessing that stands for heavy duty steel, although I'm not 100% sure. But this thing is built like a tank, and it actually weighs a lot too. So that's going to factor in for me, because initially this is going in a portable table, but let's get a quick weight on it to get started. Good golly, Miss Molly, 16 pounds, 15 ounces. So to give you a frame of reference on this, I'll weigh up a couple other common router lifts. And the Craig PRS 5000, kind of a mid-weight aluminum lift, 8 pounds, 9 ounces on that one. And the new Jessom 3.5 XT is a relative featherweight, under 5 pounds on that model. It has a little less aluminum on the clamp, and it uses a phenolic plate, so a couple reasons that one stays lighter. Okay, let's talk about compatibility, and what I mean is your plate size. Is that a match for maybe an existing router table that you already have? And also mounting system. So we'll look at all the details, whether this is going to fit your situation. So either it'll fit your opening and it'll be a direct drop in, or there'll be some modification required, which is okay as long as you know that in advance. Okay, plate size here is nearly universal, 11 3/4 by 9 1/4, and that'll fit just about any opening, so long as it's not a rockler or bench dog type table. Those have a slightly different dimension this way. They're actually 8 1/4, where again this one we're 9 1/4. And corner curve can be an issue to make sure that that precisely fits into the opening on your table, and the diameter on this corner is 1.5 inches. Now the mounting system on this is very different from what I'm used to. Instead of screwing it down at the corner, it's just designed to be held in place with these knurled knobs. So if you have kind of a standard thickness top, you can orient the knob this way. Otherwise, if your top is too thick for that, you can actually just flip the knob over, and it'll give you a little more room if you put it on this way. And there's actually no through holes drilled in the corners, so the primary mounting method for this is, number one, just the weight of it holds it in place, but also those knobs underneath. I do notice that they've started some holes from underneath here, so potentially you could punch those out at a drill press if you wanted to corner mount it. But for me, and the router lifts that I've used in the past, the hole pattern doesn't align. This hole pattern matches the one of the Craig and the Jessom, but we're significantly off on the pattern here, so you may just be better using the knobs from underneath. And here's where I had a little issue with the install, but I did anticipate this, so I'll show you my quick workaround. When I route my openings for the insert plates, I tend to leave a pretty wide shelf there, about 3/4 inch, and so when I went to drop this in, I realized the posts for those little knurled knobs underneath don't quite clear that, so that should be an easy fix. I'll just route out a little opening there. You need about a 10.5 inch free span there, so measuring mine, looks like I'll have to remove about 3/16 of an inch from each side. And for the moment of truth, looks like those posts clear okay, but it still doesn't go in. Yeah, we got another obstacle at the front here. Let's take care of that one. Yeah, and it's just our threaded adjustment post assembly that's in the way. So you need no less than 5/8 inch clearance there, but look at how fine those threads are. Apparently one revolution on this system is worth 1/32 of an inch raising your router, so that's quite a bit finer than most lifts. And then it looks like just a tiny bit of grinding if I want to use my Infinity stainless steel trim ring here underneath. So just mark a little spot for that. Okay, success. We'll level things up with our set screws and then we'll be able to install those knobs from underneath. And leveling out that plate is just like most others on the market, so no big deal there. But these insert rings are really something else on this steel version, so let me show you that. Now, most manufacturers have switched to plastic insert rings, and those are okay. In fact, if you get Woodpeckers Quicklift in aluminum, it does come with their red plastic inserts, but if you spring for this HDS version, the steel one, it actually comes with steel insert rings, and I just love the feeling of quality there. But luckily, it looks like they level out pretty good with the plate. That's a 2 5/8 inch version, and the lift also comes with a 1-inch insert, and then a 1 3/16 version for your guide bushings. There's a nice looking stainless steel pin as well, but of course that's not why you're interested in this topic. So let's pull this out, we'll load up a router, and check out those 2 cranks that adjust this unit. So run the lift up as high as it'll go, and then drop in your motor. There's some discussion in the manual that the type of motor that you choose, the length of it basically, makes a difference on whether or not this lift can handle above the table bit changes. So this 1617 apparently is problematic in that regard, but we'll do our best with it. So just drop in your motor and go ahead and tighten up the 2 nuts. And try to keep that band down on the flat of your motor and just advance those fasteners equally. But the burning question, at least for me, is what's with the 2 cranks? Every router lift I've ever used has just the 1 height adjustment crank that has 1 spot to lock it and another spot to do fine adjustments. So what's with this system? Let's find out. Basically, just start with this long spring-loaded crank and position the handle like this, front to back. Drop it into this plain hole. And once that engages, you can give it a 1/4 turn and it'll let you quickly raise or lower that router as needed for your course adjustment. Then just give it another twist so it's in that same orientation you started. And in that position, your router is locked. It won't go up or down at all. And you switch to this crank for your more typical height adjustments. Now this one, again, is very fine because of that threaded rod. Each revolution, you're only moving a 32nd of an inch. So pretty fine adjustment on that, and I can see it would be tedious if you had to run it all the way up and down with this fine thread pitch, but as it is, that's a pretty neat system. Okay, so now that I understand the system a little better, this is what I would call an Afterlock adjuster, and with all the tools in my shop, I only have one other that uses anything like this. And that's my MRC23 router, which ironically can't be used in a router table. Once you drop the motor in here, and lock the thing in place. So here's that big buckle lock on the back. So even locked in place, you can still make micro adjustments here, at least on the plunge base. So it's kind of an interesting system. So it's locked, but I can still adjust it. Yeah, that's basically what it boils down to. To be honest, I don't really understand the finer points of how an Afterlock adjuster works, but if you're a mechanical engineer or designer out there and you want to shed some light on it, I'm all ears. That actually would be an interesting topic, but for the rest of us, we'll just have to trust that Woodpeckers got their engineering just right. Okay, so now we got that figured out, sort of. We'll pull out that ring and run that thing up to the top to see how close we can come to a topside bit change. And that's very close to being able to get a straight wrench on it. I think I'll have a little better access with using at least one bent wrench, but luckily I have some of those in my collection for the 1617. And I think that medium trim ring will be okay for this bit. Overall, not too bad, especially how fast you can raise and lower this router. I do a simple router shake test, and I've tried this on other brands of lifts, and most of them are pretty secure, better than even the router base that your router came with, so let's test this one out. Now this is on a mobile cart, so if I shake the whole thing, I'm not concerned with that, but I just grab the motor itself and just give it a good wiggle and see if I can notice any deflection at the bit. And that looks rock solid as I move that, so that's encouraging. All right, we'll try it out, run a board through, and I got a pop quiz coming up for you. I'll fire up my figure 8 dust separator. Just helps it piggyback onto the vacuum itself. So if you're interested in building one yourself, I'll put video resources down in the description. Nice smooth cut, as you would expect. No depth changes or chatter marks, so looking good. All right, hotshot pop quiz time. What's your favorite method to mount a fence to your router table? Common methods, of course, are T-tracks or through slots, and for my money, I'll take the through slots all day long. All you need are some tall router knobs and just 5/16 inch carriage bolts, and you get a really secure connection. So this quick lift is a pretty nice setup, and I like to really explore the details on things, and after using it a bit, I'm happy with the mechanism, and I think it does solve a common issue with other router lifts, and that's just the tedious hand cranking to raise and lower your router. So it's really quick and easy on that. So I like the system, and if it's something you're looking for, you'll find links down in the description. But as always, if you like this particular topic, just take a second and give me a quick thumbs up. And I would definitely appreciate it if you'd subscribe to The Thoughtful Woodworker.